Alright guys, welcome back to Legends of Evil, and today I'm going to be talking about another villain from a novel, or book series, however you want to go by it. And that villain in question is Smaug. Now, Smaug is from, as for all we all know, is from the book series called The Hobbit, which is part of Lord of the Rings. No duh. Now, Smaug is pretty much what I consider the perfect ground basis for any dragon-type character we've seen in the future. I mean, yes, there are dragons in myths and legends and other things, but I feel like Smaug is I feel like he's the perfect ground basis for all dragons you see today in the media, from Netherion, from World of Warcraft, Cataclysm, Alduin from Skyrim. I hope I'm saying that name right. I always get messed up on that name. And, many other dragons, I feel like all get their ground basis from Smaug. Because in my opinion, he is the perfect, if you want to do a perfect fantasy-type dragon, he is the right character to base it off of. I mean, again, yes, I know there are other dragons before him, but Smaug embodies the perfect ground basis for a fantasy dragon, and all the aspects you need to make a perfect one for a fantasy story. Now, Smaug, first, he is one of the last great dragons of the land of Middle-earth. Apparently, and they don't really go into much of this, at least not to my knowledge. It's been a long time since I've read The Hobbit. But Smaug is, like I said, one of the last of his kind. That being was because, well, actually, I don't think I remember how most of the dragons were gone, but dragons were very hard to kill. Their hides were very powerful. The one thing that kept dragons at bay was that the dragons of Middle-earth were very greedy. They always wanted to hoard treasure. So, that was one thing. And they pretty much did not want to interact, and if thieves came down, and here's the thing, like Smaug, like most dragons in the world of Middle-earth, Smaug was familiar with every little piece of gold in his collection. That being, if someone came and stole it, and then when he would know that something was gone, he would realize just a little, even if he took one little gold coin from his treasure trove, he'd figure it out. Even if he was sleeping, he'd realize, hey, something's gone, I'm gonna go destroy an entire village looking for it. So, that was the thing. Now, Smaug, his gold, he stole. Now, the thing about dragons in the world of Middle-earth, gold attracts dragons, and Smaug was attracted by this huge amount of gold in the Dwarf Kingdom. He pretty much, went in there, kicked everybody out, or burned them, devoured them, and took the gold for himself, and where he sleeps. Now, he's been on that pile of gold for so long that most of the gold and diamonds and jewels have been encrusted into his chest and all the way up his underside, which for most dragons is pretty much the weak spot. But thanks to all that gold he's been sleeping on, it's pretty much been embedded into his body, which allows him even more strength, even more, more armor. But the thing is that throughout the whole story, he is the end game of the Hobbit. I mean, they've encountered giants, all other types of monsters, and Bilbo and the rest of the dwarves are pretty much they're out to get what's theirs. I mean, Smaug stole it, and they're pretty much out to, hey, we're gonna take it back. And of course, Smaug is less than thrilled of someone coming in and trying to take his gold. Now, Smaug, I'm sorry, I'm blanking here. But Smaug is pretty much, he keeps himself at the highest point of the mountain. However, Bilbo Baggins managed to sneak in and at least figure out what his weakness was. Even though his underside was completely invulnerable, Smaug still had one weakness. There was an open patch of open area on his left part of his chest, his left breast, that you could easily just sink one arrow in, and that would kill him. Which, by the way, kind of worked. An archer named Brand shot and killed him. So that's pretty much the end of Smaug. But however, Smaug at the time was ruthless. When he found out Bilbo stole from him, he actually burned down the town of Dale in a sea of fire. And once again, I have to say once again that Smaug does not play when you steal from him. He will actually, until he gets what's his, like most of the other dragons from Middle-earth, he won't stop until even if the whole world has to burn, he won't stop until he gets what's his back, even though he stole it first. But even though he claims that it's all his, and by right, dragons deserve all this gold. But again, once again, I have to reestablish that I feel like Smaug was the perfect ground basis for all dragons in fantasy currently. Because he really embodies like how dragons should be like, the hoarding gold, the breathing fire, the nigh invulnerability. I mean, even the dragons from Game of Thrones still have that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Characteristic to them that they were nearly invulnerable. Even though Daenerys' dragons are still babies, we know that they're gonna grow up and be pretty much the nuclear bombs of that world. So, not much else I could say about Smaug. I mean, he played a huge role at the end of the book, but he pretty much played it out as the end game. He was like, if The Hobbit was a video game, he would be the final boss. And that's pretty much what it was. And there was a little more to Smaug to him, but pretty much he stayed in that cave until Bilbo came and stole from him, and he just had the mother of all shit fits. But yeah, I mean, he is a very well-known fantasy character, probably one of the best-known characters, well, villains, I should say, in the world of Lord of the Rings. And I can't wait to see him in the Hobbit movie, even though I heard it's going to be two-parter. I could be wrong. Yeah, I think it's going to be two-parter. But he's going to be voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, who most of you guys would know. He plays Sherlock in the the BBC, why did I say animated? The BBC live-action series called Sherlock. And the other thing, and I can't believe I just remembered this now, is that Smaug has been seen outside the books. He was in the 70s animated adaptation of The Hobbit, where Smaug, I can't remember who voiced him. I'm sorry guys, I'm drawing a blank on who voiced him in that. But Smaug in the animated movie looked terrifying. I mean, when he first appeared, as a kid, when I was watching this, when they used to rerun it on, of all places, Disney, I nearly crapped my pants. And keep in mind, I was only 4 years old when I watched that the first time. Like, can't sleep, dragon will eat me. Can't sleep, dragon will eat me. Smaug in that appearance was huge. He was fat. He also had this deep, resonating voice with this wolf-like mane on him, as well as these fiery red scales. And the animation back then, even though it was 70s, was just beautiful. And it was just cool. Also, I just suddenly remembered who voiced him. Richard Boone. Richard Boone voiced him. And then he made a video. I just remembered also, he was in a 2003 video game where he was voiced by James Horan. But again, I can't wait to see his big screen appearance. He's probably going to look like in beautiful CGI because no expenses are not paid for Peter Jackson. So I can hardly wait to see Smaug the Magnificent, as he was called, in all his glory on the big screen. So, more or less, I think I've pretty much covered everything for Smaug, but as always, guys, even though I missed some stuff, I only give out the cliff notes for villains. And as always, I'm going to leave you guys off with a audio hint for next week's villain. So here it is.
Look at you! You're so filthy! You look just like a drowned rat! But still, you do smell rather nice. So, what's your name?
So, that was your audio hint for next week's villain, but again, I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about Smaug, and later.